The Shape of Water is directed by Guillermo del Toro and stars Sally Hawkins, Doug Jones, Michael Shannon, Octavia Spencer, and Richard Jenkins. Guillermo del Toro is probably best known to mainstream audiences for movies that are kind of darkly fun and kind of charming almost. Movies like Hellboy and Pacific Rim. He's also the director of Pan's Labyrinth, which is an absolutely fantastic Spanish language film. It is subtitled. The subject matter is kind of heavy, but it's an incredible film that I think everyone needs to see. The Shape of Water follows a character named Eliza, who is a night janitor at this scientific facility. Interesting thing about Eliza is she is mute. She's been mute since birth, and that's a kind of a big deal in a modern movie to take away an actor's voice. That's like taking an instrument away from a musician. It's really hard to sell that something like that in a movie, and it really works here. At this facility where she works, along with Octavia Spencer, who plays her friend at the scientific facility, they've just received this new creature that they've retrieved in the wild somewhere. And in the movie, they just call the creature the Asset. The Asset's played by Doug Jones under mountains of makeup, just like he usually is, just like he is in Pan's Labyrinth, in fact. And what is really almost a pantomime character comes off as human as it really could, if that makes any sense. He's smart and has emotion, and he shows a real range considering it's another character who doesn't get to talk to us. The two main characters in this movie don't get to speak to the audience. Eliza she can do sign language, but obviously most of the people who are going to watch this movie can't do sign language. So that the movie kind of focuses on their dynamic a lot. The two characters that really struggle to be heard, struggle to be understood by people surrounding them. And it works better than you almost think it should. And they're obviously, well, I don't know about obviously. There are certainly some kind of weird things in this movie that I'll get to. But the big thing is Del Toro is very much what I like to call a show, don't tell director. He shows you the story in the image rather than telling it to you in the script, having a character or a narrator or some other exposition having to tell you what's going on or how a character feels or this or that. And it's all on the screen. And even though they're silent, Sally Hawkins and Doug Jones are vivid enough in their performance that you can always tell how they feel, and that's really impressive. And it takes a lot of talent and a lot of work from the actor and very precise direction from whoever's directing the movie, Guillermo del Toro in this case. But it's really well done, and I don't think a lot of directors could have pulled that off. The rest of the cast is filled out by Michael Shannon, who is I don't want to say typecast, but he's really similar to some other things that we've seen him in, like his character in Boardwalk Empire, or even his character General Zod in Man of Steel. Almost, he's authoritarian and he's soft-spoken, but he's still really intimidating when he's on screen, which is good, and that's kind of his thing, though. That's why I say he's almost typecast, because he's always this intense, intimidating character, even though he has a very calm air about him. And that's what is so intimidating and so strange, is that he's always very calm, and there's a palpable tension coming through in that calmness. He's absolutely a fantastic actor, and he gives a great performance here. I don't think he in particular travels a lot of new ground, which isn't necessarily a problem, just an observation. I loved Octavia Spencer. She's really charming as Eliza's friend in the facility, and a lot of the banter between them is it's girl talk and it's priceless, and I loved it. Um, Richard Jenkins plays a really interesting character. He's Eliza's neighbor, and he's this sort of struggling artist trying to find where he belongs and the way that he's going to live his life going forward. And it's this interesting parallel to Eliza and the things that she's going through, and they're really good friends, and he's a really important character to Eliza's story, and it works really well for me. The movie's kind of a rethink almost of Beauty and the Beast with a little dash of Creature from the Black Lagoon, and with Del Toro's spin on it. And that, like I said before, it kind of works better than it seems like it should. The movie is a little more adult than I expected, and that might off-put a lot of people. There's some sexual content in the movie that's a little surprising. They don't overtly show anything. They just kind of talk about some stuff that happened, and it might be kind of weird. I think it's handled very delicately, and I think it works well. It was just surprising, was all. To conclude, really, it's almost a fairy tale. The Shape of Water is an interesting adult fairy tale that is handled and acted very, very well. It's a simple story on the surface, but there are a lot of layers in there, and I don't think a lot of directors other than Del Toro could pull this off, and I think it's absolutely his best work since Pan's Labyrinth. I really enjoyed this movie. It might not work for some people, but I think it's really great, and I think you should give it a chance.